Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to jump into a pretty profound challenge from the Apostle Peter. He takes an idea that's at the very core of Christianity and asks a simple question. What if that's just the starting line? We're going to unpack the qualities he says can literally transform our character and guarantee us a, quote, rich welcome into the eternal kingdom. Let's dive in.
Okay, so if you've been around Christian circles at all, you've heard the phrase sola fide, right? Faith alone. And look, it's absolutely foundational for a very good reason. Faith is precious, and its importance is, well, it's impossible to overstate. It's the key that opens the door. But what if it's not the entire journey? What if it's just the first step inside?
And this is where the Apostle Peter comes in with this incredible perspective. He suggests that if we focus only on faith, as vital as it is, we might be doing something like staring at a single magnificent tree and completely missing the entire beautiful forest all around it. He's inviting us to lift our eyes and see faith not as the final destination, but as the very first step into a vast, incredible landscape of spiritual growth.
So, if faith is just the first tree, how in the world do we start exploring the rest of this forest? Well, the good news is, Peter doesn't just leave us with a nice metaphor. He gives us a map. He actually lays out a clear, step-by-step framework for developing what the Bible calls a divine nature. Now, the original Greek word he uses here is phusis, and this is so important to get. It doesn't mean something strange or alien. It means your natural, innate, essential characteristics. See, the idea is that since we're created in God's image, these divine qualities are already part of our design. So this isn't about becoming something we're not. It's about recovering the very essence of who we were created to be in the first place. So what does this map actually look like? Well, Peter gives us a super practical guide, an 8-step process. But listen, this is not just a random checklist of virtues to tick off. You gotta think of it more like ascending a staircase. Each step is built firmly on the one that came before it, and each one takes you higher and higher. And here it is. This is Peter's staircase. He tells us to build this intentionally, one step at a time. To our foundational faith, we add goodness. To our goodness, we add knowledge. On top of that knowledge, we build self-control, and that self-control strengthens our perseverance. This leads to godliness, which then grows into mutual affection for the people around us. And it all culminates in the highest step of all, love. True, unconditional love for all of humanity. You see how each step is totally essential for the next one? Okay, so that's the theory, that's the staircase, but how does this actually apply to us? To you and me right now? Well, this is where it gets personal. We're going to take a moment for some really honest self-reflection with a kind of scorecard inspired by Peter's framework. All right, let's just pause here for a second. And look, the point of this is not to get a perfect score or to feel bad about yourself. It's just about taking an honest look. So ask yourself, am I really acting in faith toward God? How's my goodness, my basic respect and consideration toward other people? Am I actively trying to grow in knowledge? What about self-control over my emotions? Or perseverance? Do I stick with things? Do my decisions reflect godliness? Is there genuine brotherly love in my community? And that final step, am I treating all of humanity with God's love? Again, this isn't about judgment. It's just about finding where our next step for growth might be. You might be thinking, wow, that is a lot of work. And it is. So why? Why go through all this trouble to build our character? What's the ultimate payoff? Well, Peter connects it directly to what he calls our ultimate inheritance. In this slide, man, it really lays out the stakes, doesn't it? The Bible draws this incredibly stark contrast. There are two paths. A life that's just led by impulse, what it calls the works of the flesh, is on one path. But a life that's intentionally cultivating this divine nature, that's on a completely different path. And notice the language. It doesn't just say you'll get into the kingdom. It says you will receive a rich welcome. There's a difference. And all of this leads to a final, really powerful question. Because this journey, it isn't just about our own destiny. It's about what we build and what we pass on. You know, when we hear the word inheritance, our minds usually jump to money, right? Or property. But what if the greatest inheritance, the most important thing we could ever leave behind, isn't something you can put in a bank at all? And that right there is the heart of it all. The most precious and lasting legacy we can give our children, our friends, our community, the world, it isn't wealth. It's the living, breathing example of a character that's been forged by these divine natures. That is the inheritance that truly lasts forever. It's the one that guarantees that rich welcome for us. And maybe, just maybe,
inspires others to start climbing that staircase too.